prisoner swaps since the start of Russia's invasion.
Hello, Mom. It's me, Roman. Yes, we are in Belgorod. We've been exchanged. We will change the clothes and we'll go home.
This also comes as Ukrainian city Lviv is recovering from a deadly attack on Thursday which killed at least 7 people. According to the Lviv mayor, 35 residential houses, an office complex, a student campus, a school and 50 cars were damaged in the Russian missile attack. UNESCO has condemned the bombing of a historic building in the western Ukrainian city and has also expressed its sincere condolences to the families of the victims. The Tory party-led UK government witnessed another blow. A UK court turned down their request to prevent the COVID inquiry from accessing former Prime Minister Boris Johnson's COVID-era messages. 2 High Court judges ruled that Heather Hallett's-led inquiry acted rationally, while adding that Johnson's diaries and notebooks are very likely to contain information about decision-making during the pandemic. The court also said that if the inquiry finds documents which are absolutely irrelevant, they will return it to the Cabinet Office. The court ruled that the documents must be handed over to the inquiry by July 10th. The UK government has pledged that it will comply fully and working towards an arrangement that respects the privacy of individuals. The Labour Party said the judgment comes as a complete humiliation for the Tory government, while accusing UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak of wasting the time and taxpayers' money on legal battles. For months now, the UK Cabinet Office has opposed the release of Johnson's COVID-era WhatsApp messages, diaries and notebooks. Earlier, Johnson has said he does not object to the inquiry seeing his messages and his notebooks. Johnson's government faced a series of criticism for not taking the pandemic threat seriously in the early stages of the coronavirus outbreak. Similarly, opposition and public have criticised the government for not providing enough protective equipment for frontline medical staff.
What postcode did you get in the end?
And being bullied.
Well, for more on this, we're joined by our correspondent Alex Isat in London. Alex, the government put up a pretty strong fight to keep these messages and notebooks and diaries from the inquiry, but obviously they've lost that. How significant is it, and what are we expecting to find out from this information?
Well, you're right. They did put a lot of energy and time into trying to stop these WhatsApp messages and for the diary to go forward into the inquiry. But also we understand that Boris Johnson himself said that he was willing to bypass the government's plan to stop them and give his own WhatsApp and diary as well. So it does seem that there is already this underhanded approach within the government. Again, a lot of people are calling out, well, if Boris Johnson was willing to do this, then who really is this covering up for? And a lot of the opposition are saying there's something about Prime Minister Rishi Sunak that he obviously wants to cover up, because back when the COVID pandemic was hit, he was the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and maybe those WhatsApp messages and diary inputs could well show that he did something that was also putting a foot out of step. Of course, we don't know that. It is all conjecture at the moment. But when it comes to other things that Rishi Sunak is being scrutinised for, a lot of opposition parties are saying, well, he hasn't turned up for PMQs for a while. Yes, he was at the liaison committee where he was asked specific questions. But with regards to a wider issue on the political sphere, it does seem that a lot of the opposition are holding on to potentially that Rishi Sunak himself has something to hide rather than Boris Johnson. What we will see now, though, is these messages will go to the inquiry with Baroness Hallett, which she will be looking into exactly what should be used and potentially what shouldn't as well. So any privacy issues shouldn't be a problem going forward. Of course, we are still seeing this COVID inquiry that's continuing to rumble on. The point of it all is to ensure that if this does happen again with another type of incident like COVID, that the government will be more prepared, and also what they could have done differently. But of course, that doesn't really help those families and friends of those who have lost loved ones, or those who are still suffering with long health issues as well. But this inquiry will look into exactly what happened within the government and what can be done next time to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And they're saying that these messages are going to prove pivotal into helping that inquiry.
Alex, what impact do you think this is having on the electorate? We mentioned yesterday about the fact that every time Rishi Sunak tries to take a step forward away from certain controversies, he's dragged backwards. Do you sense that the electorate is keeping a close eye on all of this development, and it's going to play out in the next general election?
It's an interesting question, for the sense of, are they keeping an eye over exactly what's happening with the political tit for tat? I'm not 100% sure that is the case, mostly because people do seem quite deflated with politics at the moment. You go to any outing and you ask people what they think about Keir Starmer or Rishi Sunak, and people have an opinion, but it's not really based on what's exactly is happening. A lot of people I've spoken to with regards to this COVID inquiry, and especially the Partygate issues and all of this rumbling on, they just had enough. They're a bit frustrated about the amount of money that's going into keeping this alive. Of course, they understand the inquiry is important for future issues, but a lot of people have just had enough. They have this fatigue over politics in general. Of course, the polls are showing that the Conservatives aren't doing particularly well, but whether it's on specific issues, it's probably not the case. A lot of people just generally with politics are just frustrated. They're not seeing any movement with their day-to-day issues, which is still, as we keep saying, the cost of living crisis, fuels, mortgages, everything is very expensive, and that's what the issue really comes down to. The migrant crisis, all of those things that people are talking about. They're not talking about the Partygate of something that happened a couple of years ago, and I think many people just want to put an end to it and move on, and they want to see some real difference with their day-to-day life.
Alex Ayres, that's our correspondent in London. Many thanks. Some Tory backbenchers and opposition leaders have urged the government to put some Hong Kong officials on sanctions. These officials are involved in targeting UK-based pro-democracy activists. MPs discussed an urgent question in the House of Commons after Hong Kong police offered a reward equal to about £100,000 per person for information on the individuals. Out of the 8, 3 of the individuals are in the UK. The UK's Foreign Office was also challenged by Tory MPs over the recent meeting with a Chinese official. Liu Jiangqiao, head of the International Liaison Department of the Chinese government, visited the UK and met with members of the Parliament. Senior Tory MP Tim Lawton has described the official as China's chief dissident snatcher. UK's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, said extradition agreements between China and the UK have been suspended for some time, and that the UK government will not tolerate any such demands from the Chinese government, while adding it will not allow China to silence individuals on British soil. The UK is set to create new sanctions regime for Iran. This will give the UK more powers to target decision makers. This includes individuals involved in weapons production and threats against Britons. The UK government's current sanctions regime against Iran focuses on human rights. However, the new proposal can widen the criteria that the government can cite. UK's Foreign Secretary James Cleverly said the UK has seen an unprecedented level of aggression from Iran.
Now, the Home Office and the security services are responsible for protection of people here in the UK. They've been doing a fantastic job, and we are taking action to support them to deter Iranian behaviour against people here in the UK. That's what the sanction package that I have announced today, and the additional sanctions designations that I have announced today. That's what that is about. It's about deterring that action against people here in the UK.
In response to this, the Iranian Foreign Ministry summoned the British Embassy in Tehran. He described the sanctions as destructive statements and interference in our affairs. Alex Ayres, that's our correspondent in London. Many thanks. Some Tory backbenchers and opposition leaders have urged the government to put some Hong Kong officials on sanctions. These officials are involved in targeting UK-based pro-democracy activists. The UK's Foreign Office was also challenged by Tory MPs over the recent meeting with a Chinese official. Liu Jiangqiao, head of the International Liaison Department of the Chinese government, visited the UK and met with members of the Parliament. Senior Tory MP Tim Lawton has described the official as China's chief dissident snatcher. UK's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, said extradition agreements between China and the UK have been suspended for some time, and that the UK government will not tolerate any such demands from the Chinese government, while adding it will not allow China to silence individuals on British soil. Well, under the new sanctions, individuals and entities could also be sanctioned if they continued to undermine peace and stability globally. The UK has also given evidence at the UNSC that Iran is continuing to send weapons in Yemen and to Russia. Several US lawmakers have condemned the recent vandalisation of Indian consulate in San Francisco by pro-Khalistani group. These include the congressmen and representatives like Ro Khanna, Sri Thanadar and Brian Fitzpatrick. The two words which are common in all these tweets are condemn and unacceptable. The words represent the nature of their reaction as these leaders call for immediate action against such attacks. Just a few days back, the US had also officially condemned the attack on the consulate in San Francisco. A spokesperson for the State Department tweeted, saying that the attack constituted a criminal offence. But the US is not the only nation where Khalistani activities are on the rise. New Delhi is pressing London, as well as Ottawa, to provide any space for actions that are contrary to India's interests, to not provide any space for actions that are contrary to India's interests. Today, Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval will hold talks with his UK counterpart in the Indian capital. He will be raising India's concern over pro-Khalistan actions against Indian diplomats. This is in reference to the threats issued to India's High Commissioner in the UK, as well as to a Consul General by the extremists. These were found in the posters, which have called for a protest rally to the Indian High Commission in London on the 8th of July. Doval is likely to seek guarantees from Tim Barrow, the UK NSA, on the protection for Indian diplomats in the UK. He will also seek assurance on non-violation of Indian diplomatic premises by such group. There is a saying that if one does not adapt to changing times, one is usually left behind. But traditional things passed on from generations are things that one does not wish to change. However, a slice from Rome's traditional history is going to be removed from July 8th. Angelo Arrigoni's bake shop, famously known as the Bakery of Popes, is about to wind up its 90-year-old business. Bread from this bakery is served every pontiff, from Pope Pius XI, the first sovereign of the Vatican City, to the current leader of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis. The bakery was opened in the year 1930 and became an instant hit amongst the residents of the Vatican City.
Since I've arrived in 2009, I've been a customer. Now I've been on a holiday in June and this news shocked me a lot because Angelo did everything he could to keep this place and now unfortunately it's closing and I'm losing my bakery and I don't know where I'll shop.
Perdo, il mio panificio e non so dove faccio poi la spesa, sì.
Arrigoni has tried to keep his artisan business afloat by asking for help from the Rome municipality, but he has failed to get any encouraging response. The pandemic has taken a hit on his business, but there lies few larger reasons behind this. Italy's tourism industry has been eroding local culture in Rome. The streets, which used to be filled with artisans, are now filled with hotels, and tourist restaurants have taken over.
For the residents of this area, since it is convenient to give houses to foreigners, they have given them all to agencies that rent them to foreigners, understand? And so the type of work has changed, but the municipality is obtuse. If things change in such an area, you must be the first to protect it. The street here used to be full of artisans. It was beautiful, but now they have all left.
Rising energy costs and a drop in loyal local customers have also contributed to its downfall. Moving to entertainment now, let's take a look at all the big stories from the world of showbiz.
Pop sensation Britney Spears has filed a police report after she was allegedly smacked in the face while trying to approach NBA star Victor Wembanyama. Spears accused a member of Wembanyama's security team of backhanding her when she asked to take a picture with the basketball player. However, Wembanyama issued a statement saying that he believes that the singer grabbed him from behind as he was walking into a restaurant. The San Antonio Spurs player said that he was unaware of the identity of the person who had tried to grab him until much later.
Be disciplined.
The film stars Kingsley Benadir, who is almost unrecognizable as he transforms into the reggae legend for the starring role. Set for release in 2024, Bob Marley, One Love, is produced by Marley's children Ziggy and Cedella Marley and his widow Rita Marley. It follows Marley's career from his early days to become a musical icon. Ricky Martin and Juan Joseph are divorcing after nearly 6 years of marriage. The Livin' La Vida Loca singer and Syrian-born painter announced their divorce in a joint statement posted on social media. The pair first met through Instagram in 2015 and began dating that same year. Martin, an art collector, saw Yosef's work and connected with the artist. The former couple have said that their greatest desire is to maintain a healthy family dynamic as they continue to co-parent their 2 children.
Former world number 1 Andy Murray is just 1 set away from a spot in the 3rd round of Wimbledon after a late-night classic against the 5th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas. The match was suspended for the day due to an 11 p.m. curfew at the All England Club. Well, it was a fine start from Tsitsipas, who won an 11-shot rally on the opening point of the match. Both the players then went blow for blow. The Greek was more aggressive of the two, hitting 21 winners compared to 11 for Murray, and he took the marathon tiebreak, first set in a tiebreaker.
2 hours on court.